language is a significant part of everyday life that many of us take for granted. It is crucial for individuals of all cultures to understand its significance and to understand where it has come from. It can be represented through writing, gestures, expression, and commonly verbal. Throughout history, or throughout time, Greek language has been deciphered, and it is an important aspect of civilization because it has given people of all cultures the ability to communicate with each other through the form of art, as well as help others understand one another's culture and its history. To start off, language is an important aspect of Greek civilization because it has allowed individuals to communicate on several different platforms. According to the article Companion to the Ancient Greek Language, the Greek language was recorded by 3 separate scripts. There was Linear A, Linear B, and hieroglyphics, all of which were used to communicate with other cultures, verbal and nonverbal. Linear B consisted of a syllabic writing, usually 2 sounds, a consonant that was followed by a vowel. And this was used in the Mycenaeans, and the same article stated that it was instrumental to document the administrative transactions of highly centralized economy. And this was helpful and a form of communication because it is keeping track of documents through writing, and it is able to transfer the information to others if it is needed. The script of Linear A and Linear B were found around 1450 BCE, and this form of writing could be found on tablets as well on clay models that were inscribed, and the same source stated that 4,000 tablets were discovered which bore hitherto unseen characters and whose intricate graphic structure was unmistakably recognizable as writing. So these inscriptions were said to be angular signs and were formed by the Greeks, and they utilized rectangular and vertical shapes and lines. So citizens, a part of the Greek culture and civilization, were able to utilize these forms of writing to communicate with other people in their town and with people later in history. Not only does language help with communication, but it is a form of nonverbal art. The Greeks produced their language for others to see and decipher on tablets and blocks of clay, according to the primary source documents in Mycenaeans Greek. According to the article Companion to the Ancient Greek Language, Linear A material is attested from Crete and found in palatial contexts, villas, sanctuaries, and tombs, but also on several Aegean islands and Miletus. The text could also be found on stone vessels and metal objects like clay cups and wall graffiti. So not only can it be found on a physical form of art, but it has opened other opportunities as well. So some of these opportunities consist of language arts and various other forms that could connect with all cultures and different kinds of people. So one was called a syllabic writing called Linear B, which was used in poems. And Greek language isn't just used verbally, but it also is used on art pieces and other forms of literature that we see. Linear A and Linear B is found on the source Companion to the Ancient Greek Language. This shows syllabic writing and the symbols that they use on the tablets. Here's more over here for Linear B. And like for the sounds, this is what the letter is. Over here is just some listing for people and animals. So for man, this is the symbol that represents it, and so on. And then there's more to follow. Different like colors. And then over here is numerals, so numbers and metric. Being able to utilize language through communication and nonverbal arts, the Greeks were able to leave their mark and allow historians and others to decipher their writing styles to help understand their language and overall culture. Linear B acts as the earliest process of writing that historians and other cultures were able to observe and adapt to their own. Greek civilization was the first to invent a form of alphabet. According to the Arts and Letters, the aesthetic of ancient Greek writing, Greeks were the first to represent, visually for the reader, the full sound of words, enabling a fairly precise reproduction of the language's spoken sounds when reading its letters. So the alphabet was just the beginning to how individuals were supposed to read, which is left and right, how we read today. The same source states, the early Greek alphabet often quite translates the invisible elements of poetic speech into graphics, visible signs, as well as we shall investigate those signs in turn exhibit a kind of visual poetics. So the Greek language was just the beginning of people being able to understand the specific language. According to the article, recognizing Greek literacy in early Roman documents from the Judean desert, people were then able to become bilingual by being able to understand, speak, and read more than just one language. So in future years, the alphabet that was created originally by the Greeks was later adapted by various other cultures, so they used that kind of as an outline for their own language. So Greeks created something that would later spread into many other common languages. Overall, Greek language has come a very far way from where it once has started. According to the Greek language, the fact that the Greek language alone has preserved itself in all its original beauty through thousands of years is a quote to a modern Greek writer, because the beautiful is like the sunshine upon this world, because the beautiful lives forever. So historians can decipher and translate their texts and are able to understand their language and what their documents. And language is such an important aspect of civilization because it has given people of all cultures the ability to communicate and express different forms of art, as well as help others understand one another's culture and their history. So people all around the world are able to access different culture and utilize the language in their everyday life. And one just doesn't quite realize how important and realize the different forms of language that they use on a day-to-day basis. And by being able to understand other cultures, we're able to understand where certain verbal structures came from, and that can be helpful in understanding where our own came from.